Have you ever looked in the mirror and just wondered if your skin is trying to tell you something? You know, we tend to see skin issues as just, well, surface problems. But today, we're diving into melasma, a condition that actually tells a much, much deeper story about our biology and, yeah, even our emotions. So, let's start with this big question. What if those patches on your skin are more than just pigmentation? What if they're signals? Little messages from deep inside your body telling a story about what's going on at the cellular level. That's exactly the mystery we're going to unpack today. All right, first up in our investigation, we're looking at the mystery right on the skin. To really get what's going on, we have to meet the key players involved. Okay, meet melanin. This is the star of our show. Melanin is the natural pigment that gives your skin, your hair, and your eyes their unique color. But it's not just for show. Its most critical job? Protecting your skin from harmful UV radiation. It's literally your body's own natural sunscreen. So where does all this melanin come from? Well, it's made in these highly specialized cells called melanocytes. If melanin is the product, then you got to think of melanocytes as the factories, working away deep in your skin. And how these factories behave? Well, that's the key to this whole thing.
And that brings us to melasma itself. It's a specific kind of hyperpigmentation, that just means too much pigment, that shows up as these symmetrical brown or gray-brown patches, usually on the face. You might see it on the cheeks, the forehead, the bridge of the nose, or the upper lip. And get this, it's way more common in women and in people with darker skin tones. And that right there is a huge clue about what's causing it.
Okay, so we've identified the evidence on the surface. Now let's put on our lab coats and go inside the pigment factory to see exactly how this is all happening at a cellular and molecular level.
Now, this is a really important point. Melasma isn't about having more pigment cells. It's about the cells you already have kicking into complete overdrive. The factories are still the same size. They're just working 24/7, pumping out way too much pigment.
So here's how that chain reaction works. It all starts with a trigger. We'll get to what those are in a second. That trigger sends a signal down to the melanocytes. The factory gets the message. This message activates a super important enzyme called tyrosinase. Honestly, you can just think of tyrosinase as the factory's main accelerator pedal. Once that pedal is pushed to the floor, melanin production just goes wild, and all that extra pigment gets shipped out to your skin cells, creating those dark patches we see.
So, if the factory's in overdrive, what's stomping on the accelerator pedal? It's time to profile the usual suspects, the primary triggers of melasma.
And here they are, the main culprits. The number one by a long shot is sun exposure. UV radiation sends the strongest signal to those melanocytes to get to work. But it's not just the sun. Hormonal shifts, especially from estrogen and progesterone, play a massive role, which is why it's sometimes called the mask of pregnancy. Beyond that, your own genetics, heat, visible light, chronic stress, and even pollution can all tell that factory to ramp up. It's a pretty complex puzzle.
Okay, we've covered a lot of the biology, but there is a massive human side to this that we absolutely cannot ignore. We need to talk about the psychological toll, this powerful and often vicious mind-skin feedback loop.
This really lays out the two different realities of living with melasma. On one side, you have the physical reality. From a medical standpoint, it's completely harmless. But then you have the psychological impact, which is anything but. It can be so emotionally distressing. It can really affect your self-image, your confidence. And here's the kicker. All that stress can actually make the biology worse.
And here's the science to prove it. It's a real biological cycle. When you feel stressed or anxious about your skin, your body releases the stress hormone cortisol. And guess what? Cortisol can also signal those melanocytes to produce more pigment. So the stress you feel about your skin can literally make your skin worse, which, of course, just makes you more stressed. It's a tough cycle to break.
So, the big question is, how do you break that cycle? Well, let's move into the final and I think most empowering part of this whole story, building a smart strategy for management, for control, and for hope. An effective plan really has to attack the problem from 3 different angles. First, and most important, is photoprotection. That means blocking the triggers. We're talking broad-spectrum sunscreen, especially mineral ones with things like zinc and iron oxides. Second, topical agents. These are ingredients in your skincare, like retinoids or niacinamide, that actually get in there and tell the pigment factory to slow down production. And third, lifestyle. This is all about supporting your body from the inside out, with an antioxidant-rich diet, and crucially, finding ways to manage stress to break that feedback loop we just talked about. Look, if you take only one thing away from this today, let it be this. I absolutely cannot overstate this point. Strict, consistent, daily photoprotection is the non-negotiable cornerstone of managing melasma. You can be using the best, most expensive treatments in the world, but if you aren't protecting your skin from light every single day, you are constantly pushing that accelerator pedal all over again. It's the foundation of everything.
Now, what about in-office procedures? Things like chemical peels or specific low-energy lasers can definitely help. But, and this is a huge but, you have to be incredibly careful. Melasma is notoriously easy to irritate, and if the wrong treatment is used or it's done by someone inexperienced, it can actually make the pigmentation much, much worse. This is not the time for DIY or bargain hunting. You need a real expert who understands melasma inside and out.
So, let's end this on a note of realistic hope. For most people, melasma is a chronic condition. That means the goal isn't some magical one-time cure, but rather long-term management. The real win is seeing significant improvement, learning what your personal triggers are, and most importantly, getting that confidence back. And that really brings us to our final thought. After digging into everything from the cellular biology to the psychological impact of melasma, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Is true skin health something we can find in a bottle? Or is it found in achieving a deeper balance, a balance between our bodies, our environment, and our minds?